Hey everybody, Jayborino here, welcome back. Moving on to our next Maporino 2018 submission. This is Rogue AI, sent to us by Knalle. Prototype map for a unit physics engine made in the Galaxy script. Made for Maporino contest. You forgot the exclamation point in Maporino. Immediately disqualified. Alright, let's get started. So I'm not sure, unique physics engine, if this will be RTS or something completely different. It sounds like it'll be something wildly different, but I have no idea, really. Place supply depots in narrow areas to block enemy access to your base, lower them when you want to leave. I think that's just a default. I don't think that's going to be applicable to this, but I really don't know. I've never actually seen that tip. Escape! Escape the facility. WASD to move. Hold right-click to shoot. Space or Alt key to move the camera towards mouse position. This is a showcase proof of concept map for my 2D semi-3D physics engine. So do we... Oh. So you turn relative to where you're facing. It's kind of like Resident Evil, sort of. I'm going to move the okay, so this moves the camera. I guess let's keep the camera centered for the most part. Maybe having a hotkey to automatically recenter would be nice. So you move, again, it's sort of like the original Resident Evil games. Some Terrans. Pew, 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 pew! Bouncing off the wall. Okay, and then you kind of get stuck. Okay, and then backing up always will confuse me. I get kind of turned around. So we just want to use the cursor. It's just sort of like a twin-stick shooter when you think about it, but using WASD relative to where you're facing could get a little confusing. So we want to focus on not running into walls. That's going to be our biggest challenge. Yeah, I mean, it runs nicely, and the... I like how they get pushed around. And we looks like we have an auto heal here, up to a certain point. I think when he's talking about the new physics engine, he's talking about how when the units die, they just sort of explode in different directions. That might be the built-in physics engine, so I'd be curious to understand maybe more of the technical specifics going on when he talks about the new physics engine, because I do not understand. Do not use the Galaxy editor. I like how they get pushed back. Yeah, that's neat. Okay, so we're kind of stuck. Again, it's sort of like retraining your brain a little bit to... ensure you, again, you're thinking about everything relative to where you're currently facing. I mean, the combat is satisfying. It's simple but satisfying. Again, you probably want to constantly be backing up. There's no mini-map, so we just have to kind of roll around and hope that we can find where we need to go. You have to be very gentle when you turn, because there's definitely some floatiness to it. Destroy the generators, 0 of 4. So yeah, I'm not pushing the oh, these things move around. They shoot while moving. Alright, so we want to go, no, see, we're facing the wrong way. I guess we'll go up. These things are hard to track, but they don't do much damage to us. Oh, okay. Okay, well that's nice. You respawn instantly, so you don't really have to worry about reloading the game, so I don't have to quick save. I am on BattleNet, so that would just be extra confusing to me. Maybe they do damage when they run into you. I'm not sure. Uh-oh. Getting penned in here. No, that's the wrong way. It's hard to tell what is the front and what is the back of the Cyclone. So because the top turret, now our camera might be frozen. There we go. I just hit spacebar and it just warped back. There at our reload there, the camera's frozen until I hit space. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not really turning that hard. But when I do turn, if you hold, like, my finger's off the button and we still kind of keep turning. So there's kind of a... it's a little hard to control, and I don't know if that's... it may be intentional. But I think also just on a more basic note, not really involving the physics engine and the movement, is that... maybe make the front a little more distinct, like the front and back, because again, because the turret is free floating, sometimes it's hard to tell what is the front and what is the back of the Cyclone. Oh, because again, it's so important to know what is front, what is the front. That's probably the most important thing to this. Alright, start heading back. Turn around. Beep, beep. Alright, let's go back. No enemies. It looks like the camera is somewhat shifted. It's all relative to where the cyclone is, so we want to, like, move the camera this way. There we go. Now we want to move it down here. Yeah, just like a separate camera control where you have to hold the button does make it, like, just mildly mind-warping. Okay, I don't think we've been in here. Enemies haven't spawned for a while, or maybe they have and they're stuck somewhere, I'm not sure, so that's a little concerning to me. Maybe once we destroy the generators. Maybe maybe after you die a certain number of times they stop spawning until you go to the next piece of the objective. I don't know, I don't want to really make assumptions there. But for the most part, you know, it's an empty map, so obviously seeing more... Uh-oh. Maybe that'll kill us. That's actually pretty neat, like the dips in the ground and how you dip into them. Let's go over the hill also. Whoop! Turning a little too much. Alright. I mean, it looks good. I don't really have that much issue with the controls. I can see how some people would dislike it, but I've also played games with a top-down look like this, where, again, everything is relative to the direction you're already facing. So on that note, again, I just would stress it should probably always make the front of the cyclone a lot more distinct. This is the wrong way. Just so that the player is always very clear, very, very clear on which way they're facing. And then also, again, sometimes, but not all the time, I'm stuck. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sometimes, but not all the time, it feels like when you turn, it overcompensates and you swing around wildly. But this is kind of what this contest was meant for, is to see what people have been working on and what they're coming up with. Because, I mean, he's very clear that this is like a demo and a proof of concept, so he's looking for people to try it and just probably to see how average players react to this type of scheme, I suppose. This type of scheme. Let's move the camera back down. So sometimes we're getting stuck. It's because we're facing the wall. Whoop! You can't zoom in. I thought maybe zooming in would help being able to tell which direction we were facing at the time. There's our generator. All Jennies destroyed. We got the Jennies, boys. Also, moving in reverse. So I'm moving in reverse. I would expect hitting back would make me go the other direction. But it looks like the front and back treads may be working separately. Again, it's sort of like mind-bending. It's kind of hard to describe when you're playing it. But again, moving backwards, if I hit the left button, I would expect to go left. But it's left, again, relative to the front of the vehicle. So it's a little challenging to figure out. Okay, so now we're backwards, forwards again. Getting stuck. So we destroy the generators. Does it open maybe a door? It might have opened that door. We'll go and check that out. There's another door up here I'm going to check also. Okay, so it opened this. Whoop. Maybe we've already done it. Again, I feel like perhaps we may have broken something, or enemies are just scripted to stop respawning if the player gets killed too much. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's head back here. I mean, obviously this would work monumentally better with a joystick. All right, so I want to go back, nope, to the right. See, sometimes it's I've already said this, but it's just mind-bending. If you've not played something like this, or you haven't played something like this in a long time, it's challenging to figure out. It's just getting inside this little area is tough for me. Now I'm stuck. Uh-oh. Whoop! Uh-oh. We broke it. I mean, giving the player free movement like this and having it based on WASD is gonna occasionally run into issues there. So, is there a purpose to this being open? And okay, I think that was just it. You know what? I'm gonna play that again because this is a very short video. Obviously, when we talk about judging and such, we'll review the fact that it was short. But I wanna see relative to the length of the map if the enemies keep spawning or not, or maybe after destroying the generator something else happens. Because I get the expectation that the waves of enemies are supposed to progress and become more challenging, perhaps. Like you saw, it was just Marines, then it was Marines and Vultures, then it was Marines and Hellions that could shoot while moving, and if they ran into you, they also did some damage. So, like, why not experiment a little bit? Obviously, this is not meant to be like a narrative experience, right? It's just you're a little cyclone and you're escaping a facility, but it's meant, again, to be a proof of concept, which I read that loud and clear. But I get the impression he put like these dips and troughs into the terrain to just show something with the physics engine. But again, I guess I'm not clear. Yeah, see, they run into us, do a boatload of damage. I'm kind of unclear what is part of the built-in physics engine. So when someone says they use the Galaxy script to do something like this, what does that really mean? And that's just for my own reference. Okay, like I don't think it's necessary for every player to understand that. I'm just curious, that's all. Escape! So let's see if more... You know what may have happened last time is because we left enemies on the other side of the map and didn't kill them, it's not respawning more. See, because we're coming down here, and because there's nothing pre-placed, and it doesn't seem like there are any triggers based on locations. So if you had triggers based on locations, rather than existing enemies on the map, I can see how that could lead to an overabundance of enemies. Or what you'd have to do is program the enemies that do spawn to constantly find the player. Even if the player is engaged and then gets killed, the enemies kind of have to hunt and kill them. So see, like, there are no enemies now. If I were to go back, I'm sure if we killed these, more would spawn. That's my suspicion. They were back here, right? Oh! Yeah, the overturning, I think, is the one major thing that could be improved upon. Is you turn wildly. So they were down here, right? So it looks like... Oh, I thought you could damage yourself, but no, it's actually you damage yourself by running into the terrain. I see a bunch of more enemies spawned here. I may have killed one while it was off screen, though. Whoa, okay, so here comes a lot. So the combat's very challenging, right? I think, again, this is mostly to show more of a, you know, taking damage when you run into things is a thing. That may be part of what's new here. And having control of it like a twin-stick shooter. Cool, yeah, so interesting proof of concept. I mean, it works. I think there are things that can be improved upon. Hopefully I gave you some insight on that now. So, you know, keep me updated, or keep you know, you're on the Discord. If you're on my Discord, just keep us posted on it as you introduce new things, because I'd be curious to see what you can do with this in the future. Because obviously you have a combat system. It can be improved upon mostly because we're a very fragile cyclone and the enemies are relentless. But, like, you know, obviously expanding on this, I'd be curious to see what more can be done. But it works pretty well. I mean, the overturning can be frustrating at times. It's just sort of an acceleration to the turn. I think that then the deceleration also needs to be as aggressive, I suppose, because there's no... The slowdown doesn't happen, I suppose, when you intuitively expect it to. Yeah, so and as a twin-stick shooter, having a joystick would work better. Or maybe, I don't know, I wonder how this would function if WASD was relative to the camera as opposed to the unit's front. I wonder if that would make it slightly easier, because again, it's a little brain-bending, but it's just based on if you've played a game like that before or not. Alright, cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Leave your thoughts below. Again, this is very clearly a proof of concept for a different type of thing built in the Galaxy Editor, which is cool to see. Alright, see everyone next time. Bye now.